All right, guys, so we got a quiz coming up in just a little bit. Before we do, I just want to review you a little bit. You cannot use this on the quiz, okay? You can use note 6.1, you can use note 6.2, but you cannot use this on the quiz. So we will be walking around and checking, but this is just to kind of give you a refresher before you take it. Now, the equation we're going to be using a lot today is our point slope formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. You should have that on your notes, so you shouldn't have to memorize it. The other equation we'll probably use a little bit today is the slope equation. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if you have those on your notes, you'll be good to go. So the first one says the slope is negative 1/2, passes through point negative 4, 1. Well, slope is just a fancy way of saying that our m value is negative 1/2, and we've got an x1 and a y1 right there. So all we have to do, guys, is fill out the equation. So let's see. I've got y minus y1, so y minus 1 equals the slope, negative 1/2, times x minus x1. Looks like x1 is negative 4. So it looks like we have a boom boom going on there. So I'll go ahead and fix that. Now all we have to do is kind of fix it. I can't really change the y minus 1 yet, but I can distribute my negative 1/2. That gives me negative 1/2 x. Negative 1/2 times positive 4 would give me negative 2. So be careful when you're doing the fractions time, the whole numbers. If that bothers you, you need to make sure and use your calculator. Now the last step, get y by itself. I'm going to add 1 to both sides. I get y equals negative 1/2 x. Negative 2 plus 1 would be minus 1. So there's going to be a question on the quiz just like that. It'll give you the slope and the point straight up, and you just have to go and fill in the blanks, essentially. So, all right, guys, let's move on to number 2. Number 2 says it's a vertical line through the point negative 8, 2. The second you see vertical, what should go into your mind is x equals. Remember, vertical lines are x equals. Well, what's the only x value we have? Negative 8. That's all you got to do. Vertical line is x equal. Horizontal line is y equals. Now, number 3 is a lot like number 1, but we have to find our slope ourselves. We have x1, y1, and we have x2, y2. So we need to plug those into our slope formula and get our slope. So y2 minus y1 would be 2 minus 6 over x2 minus x1, negative 3 minus 3. 2 minus 6 would give me negative 4. Negative 3 minus 3 would give me negative 6. Remember, if you want to simplify it in your calculator, put that in, hit math, enter, enter. But you should get that our slope is 2/3. Okay? Once we have our slope, we have x1, y1, we're right back where we were on the first problem. So let's go ahead and fill out our equation. I have y minus my y1, which is 3, equals my slope times x minus x1. Looks like x1 is 3. Oh, I totally plugged in the wrong thing for y1, didn't I? Well, good thing I noticed. Some of you probably already noticed that. It should be y minus 6, and then all the rest should be the same. So be careful there, guys. Look at your formula. I wasn't looking, so I made a little mistake. So let's see. I can't mess with the y minus 6 yet, but I can distribute my 2/3. 2/3 times x is 2/3 x. 2/3 times 3, or negative 2, or 2/3 times negative 3 is going to give us negative 2. Remember to use your calculator for those if you need to. I have to solve for y, so I'm going to add 6 to both sides. I'm going to come over here and give my answer. That gives me y equals 2/3 x. Negative 2 plus 6 will be plus 4. So there's another one, and that's pretty much as long as it gets. All you had to do is use the slope formula. We had the slope, and it turns right back into number 1. So let's look at the last one real quick. Now this one's trying to confuse us by they are giving us points, they're just giving them to us in kind of a weird way. Remember, if it's the y-intercept, that means my x is 0, so I have the point 0, negative 2. If I have the x-intercept, that means my y is 0, so I have the point 6, 0. So there's my x1, y1, x2, y2, and now we're right back where we were on the last problem. Let's find our slope. y2 minus y1 is 0 minus negative 2. Got a boom boom. x2 minus x1 is 6 minus 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. 6 minus 0 is 6. And I'm going to simplify that to get 1/3. So we have our m, we have our x1, y1. We just have to plug it in. Let's see, that's y minus y1, which looks like it's negative 2. I'm going to pay attention this time. Got a boom, boom. Equals our slope, which is 1/3, times x minus x1, x minus 0. All right? So now I have y plus 2 equals 1/3 x. The reason I have nothing else is because when I do 1/3 times 0, I can't do that. It's just 0. I subtract 2 from both sides. I end up with the equation y equals 1/3 x minus 2. Now, there is a shorter way to do that if y'all remember. Y-intercept is actually b, and they gave us negative 2. We have m. You could have plugged it into y equals mx plus b like we talked about on the notes. If you did that, you would have got y equals 1/3 x minus 2, which is exactly what we got. So if you're not sure if you'll notice that or not, just go the route we've been using. If you notice you can use y equals mx plus b, go ahead. So that's just a short little overview, guys. I'll give you about 5 minutes to look over your stuff, and then if the sub's in here, they're going to hand out the quizzes. You will put this paper up. You can have 6-1 and 6-2, and that is it. So good luck. I'll have them graded as soon as I can.